To religious concepts. The influence of Christianity. I will conclude this chapter with a brief comment on the influence of Christianity on these religious concepts. It is not easy to state with any precision in how far the Batak, who has become a Christian, has abandoned his traditional religious concepts. The observations I made in the introduction are applicable here. The old ideas have never been replaced in the balanced concept for concept manner. The spiritual luggage of a newly baptized Batak from Samosir contains more pagan elements than that of the youngest generation in Silindung, who, as fourth generation Christians, are at the present time regularly subjected to the influence of school, church, confirmation, needlework clubs, and choral societies, and so on, and who associate little, if at all, with the unbaptized. Naturally, individuals differ considerably. A man who has experienced much misfortune recalls the sources from which men formerly saw prosperity, and his belief in the efficacy of those sources will be greater than that of a man who has been successful. The latter will have no difficulty in keeping his faith in God. The molding of the moral personality of those who have just emerged from a world of thought in which many things are judged to be the automatic result of supernatural activity will take different courses. There is also the difference in the character of the existing pagan concepts and usages. The mission has always been quick to diagnose that which is demonstrably colored with animism and directly connected with the veneration of the spirits of the ancestors, elements easily recognized by the older Christian congregation as being non-Christian, and has immediately opposed them. In the first decade of missionary work, they prohibited the holding of the witnessing of goddamn ceremonies for invoking the spirits of their veneration. To enforce this rule, they had to have the help of the Dutch government because the chiefs were in the main still pagans, and even where they had become Christians, they were not strongly opposed to the ceremonies. At the present time, the prohibition is supported in regions where Christianity has found general acceptance, such as Silindung, Balige, and Hubang, by the authority of the parish itself, which often exercises stronger disciplinary control than the church leaders deem necessary. And right from the commencement of their work, the missionaries have opposed the many expressions of the Tondi cult. But because they had for so long approached all the phenomena they counted as expressions of animism, much that was equally parallel in character and origin, dynamism, for instance, was initially always clearly understood and was more or less tolerated. Even the Christian Bata himself does not understand the essentially non-Christian character of these concepts because he sees them either as simply customs of which the real meaning has been forgotten, or as petrified usages, e.g., the many Subang regulations. Sometimes he ascribes them to a universal human sphere, such as the interactive spiritual influence of kinsmen and affines, or he draws parallels between them and the Old Testament, the offering of meals, and the benediction of Genesis chapter 27. And or he is unaware of their nature because they have acquired a superficial Christian veneer which has ostensibly obscured their pagan origin. Consequently, that which stems from the world of magic measures more easily into the thoughts of life of a young Christian Batak than that which is of a more animistic origin. Yet in a society such as the Batak, was strongly oriented genealogically, many remnants of the old animistic concepts will live on for a long time. It is thus understandable that in the present transitional stage, a variety of intermingled ideas requirements, and usages which are evidence of the concepts of earlier periods will exist in individuals and groups alongside their new religious beliefs. The following examples are typical of these interwoven ideas. A man took his wife who was barren and always ailing to the house of his brother, a teacher in a mission school, where they request that he should perform the manguba ceremony for her. Her brother refused to do so because he realized that the pagan purport of the ritual. But before he sent the couple homewards, he nevertheless gave his sister an ulos pamotari, a garment of the kind that is often given by the hula hula as an ulos ni todi. A pagan had a judicial judgment passed upon him, whereby he was ordered to mangariari the tondi of a Christian by having the godang played and by offering a meal. This was not necessary because the tondi had been frightened when inaccurate reports of the Christian's death had been circulated. Christian objected to this judgment. A Batak newspaper carried a brief report of a certain form of pangupaon which had taken place in the office of the Batak district officer, himself a third generation Christian. After there had been a great fire in the marketplace, he had offered some rice and money as an upah todi to the frightened merchants, who were for the most good Christians too. The offering was made with the appropriate words in the old-fashioned style. A Batak pastor was once installed by one of the congregation during the service. The following week a meal was held, a cow was slaughtered and the cooking pot put on, the sitting mat rere, and the ladle soduk, etubau moksoba. After the ceremonial meal, the offender, his wife, his father, and his mother had to admit to his guilt and beg the pastor's forgiveness before all the members of the parish who had participated. The original intention had been that the gathering would take place in the middle of the chapel Mordomu di Tonga ni Jabu, since the glory of the Christian church, the Sahala ni Uria, had also been insulted. One spring hop barn in the field was the object of long and fierce litigation between the elders of two holy Christian lineages on the Toba Plateau. Even an elder of the parish was involved. Each party claimed that its own ancestors had been the first to use the spring as an offering place. The only purpose this spring served was a reminder of the revered Opu Parsadaan. Christians are sometimes placed under the ecclesiastical ban, i.e., they cannot be baptized, take part in the Lord's Supper, or have their marriages blessed, though they are allowed to attend the service regularly and often to do so. And the most usual reason for it is that they have committed bigamy, either because they have had no children by the first wife, or the children are all daughters. A Batak will rather break his external link with the church than die without male issue.